You back with your girls, Meesa and Meah from You Already Know. It's M&M Live Radio. And as you guys know, it's March motivation here on M&M Live Radio. And along with giving you guys that extra motivation that we all need and want to hear, we're also going to be talking about and talking to some of the dopest women that we know all month long. And we have this week's special guest on the airwaves with us right here, right now.
Yes, that's right, Meesa. She's a Nigerian American who was pursuing her dreams as a physician and dedicated her first book to the healthcare field. Little did she know that she would be creating a work of art that was not only an inspiration but representation as well. Her best-selling book is entitled Girls for Medicine. And we're about to talk to the woman behind the pages right now. We want to welcome Orezime Uyeh on M&M Live Radio. Rezi, how are you?
Good morning. Hello.
Listen, welcome to the show. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us here on M&M Live Radio.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Listen, so are we. So for those of our listeners who aren't familiar, talk about who you are. Who is Rezi?
So, first of all, Rezi is a very kind of awkward but silly and energetic person, inspired about working with kids and really passionate about art. I love drawing. I've been drawing since I was 3 years old and started to grow a love for science in middle school. Now trying to pursue my dream to go into medicine and just trying to encourage others to consider the field as I've fallen in love with it too.
Yes, of course. I love it. And I love that you even got a chance to talk about who you are even in the book also. But for our listeners, we wanted for them to get a chance to know who you are, of course, straight from your mouth. But my husband, Kimo, and I were the ones that actually met Rezi. We were in the mood for making one of our favorite Nigerian dishes for dinner one night, and we ended up going to the nearest African store, which happened to be the store Rezi's family owns, and she was working at that night. And it's really crazy because a 5-minute trip to the store to buy one thing became a 30-minute connecting conversation that we talked about, you know, Rezi's passion for the medical field, her love for Nigerian culture, and of course, this very book. Now, why did you feel like you needed to write this book, Girls for Medicine?
Well, I think it really started when I realized, wow, as a child, children are encouraged to read in elementary school. And, you know, I just remember when I was in elementary school, AR was such a big deal to me. And my mom made sure it was a big deal to me, too. But, you know, I noticed that I was reading so many books, but I could be able to count with my fingers how many of them had a character that looked like me.
Wow.
But then I didn't have any books that had a person who looked like me, but also pursuing science or medicine, just, you know, to expose me to that. And the other thing was, at that time, I was really passionate about art. And I knew that I wanted to use my artistic ability to do something. I just didn't know what it would be. And ultimately, God kind of found a way to make this book happen. But then also I realized that as children, we should be exposed to all the options that are out there to us. And usually we learn from what we read and what we see. And for me, I realized that there was nothing around me that was pointing me to medicine. And there was no one in my family or anything like that was in the healthcare field for me to look to. And I know that reading is such a big deal for kids. So I thought that kids should first see themselves in what they read, but also be exposed to things that, you know, that where they're needed. And in healthcare right now, there's a very low percentage of African American, Hispanic, Latino healthcare professionals. And the only way that can increase is when we're really reaching out to the younger generation to expose them to the field and see that there's so many options available to them. And in those positions, they're needed. So it's one thing to know you can do it, but also it's important and it's so profound for kids to know that they're definitely needed. And I feel like that would be a great motivation to them. But I also wanted it to be in a kid-friendly, vibrant, and relatable presentation. And that's why I wanted to make sure I illustrated 9 different girls that any girl can relate to. You know, any girl who yes, and the characters just to look relatable and have the hair that they have and look the way that they do and have the different interests that they have.
Yes,
and,
listen,
I'm
absolutely encouraged by that. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that it's so dope knowing that there are young girls who haven't even met you, but you're so mindful of so many different girls, of so many different races. And listen, you took me back when you said AR points. Listen, Rezi, that was me back in the day. We were staying back reading all these books because we wanted those AR points. I love that you said that. Now, one of the many interesting things about Girls for Medicine is that you not only wrote it, but you also illustrated the book as well. Now, I want to know, which came first for you? Did you write the story first, then illustrate it, or did you begin sketching and then the writing process came later? Let us know. What was the process for you?
The process, honestly, was the illustration, and it was not a surprise to me because drawing is like it comes naturally to me, and I genuinely believe that it was God's gift to me. And this book came to be in July of last summer, and I just remember there was this moment I was like, I wonder if there was like something like of these girls who are interested in medicine, and just suddenly, you know, God was just pouring all of these different pictures in my head, and I just started drawing. So it was like that passion really drove me to illustrate it, just to see what I was seeing in my head, and I wanted to get that down, all of the details down. And then after that, then the words came together. Wow. You know, so I first knew that the illustrations is what, you know, needed to be taken down first, because I know that before anybody starts reading something, the pictures, I always like gravitate to the pictures first. Like, what am I looking at? Does it draw me? And things like that. So I wanted to get that in first, and then the words just came afterwards, honestly. Because I knew that the message was still being expressed in the pictures themselves.
Listen, that's one thing I will say is that I've always admired illustrators, because, like, even though Meesa honestly is even a great illustrator herself, but seeing when Meesa brought back the book, just seeing all the pages, they were so lively, all these girls, and like the illustrations were absolutely amazing. Because Meesa, listen, if it was my book, it would be stick figures for medicine, and it would not be looking anything like Orezime.
Let me tell you something. Like,
stick figures.
I mean, from the illustration to the actual story, I know for a fact that I myself needed this book when I was younger, because growing up, honestly, I didn't know that there were so many different doctors out there that did different things. I literally thought there was one doctor that took care of all things concerning the body. It's really crazy. But even reading the book at my age now, I still learn so much. Now, Rezi, how impacted do you think your life would have been had you read this very book when you were younger?
I think it would have helped me in an amazing way, because like I said, visuals is what I took in, and it made sense because I love to draw. So the drawings is what would draw me first, you know. But I think, again, exposure is what I'm trying to achieve through this, because I know that's what I've needed before I realized it. You know, if anyone does get this book, there's a picture of a cute little girl, you know, just all nice and, you know, dressed up for career day, and she's dressed as a doctor, but I can tell you that little girl did not know didn't know she could be one. That whole time I thought I was wearing a costume. And, you know I talked about this with you when I first met you, and I think as a child, you know, if I was just exposed and given the message that if you want to go into this, you can, if you want to, that would have made a huge difference. Not to feel like I can't do it because I can't see it. I don't see it in anyone or see it anywhere, you know? And that's what I was trying to first accomplish, and that's what I was trying to do last week for Read Across Henry. Just talk to the kids and just let them know, hey, if you want to do this, you can. And I'm just letting you know I'm doing it. And it's a different thing because I've lived here all my life. So I hope that you can relate to that and feel encouraged to do it, because I did not have anybody like that for me. And I would hope to be that for them, honestly. So, yeah.
Listen, doing it is exactly what you are doing. Now, you are on your own journey in becoming a girl for medicine yourself, as becoming a physician right now. So what has your own experiences been like in reaching that goal?
That, it definitely was a struggle, for sure. and everyone keeps telling me, oh, you have not experienced struggle yet. Because I'll be starting medical school in the fall. I haven't decided where I'm going yet, but I know that's where I'm going in the fall, medical school. And I think it's been a really great way for me to discover myself and also realize that I can pave my own way in this path. In medical, a lot of students right now in college, they think they have to be a certain way to be qualified to become a physician. Well, yes, you have to take certain classes, but nevertheless, it's you going into medical school. So you need to be you throughout the whole time, and that includes pursuing the things you're interested in. And just so far, this journey has been great because I started to realize that, wow, I need to be pursuing what I'm interested in and express myself the way I know I should be best expressed versus trying to meet certain expectations that other people have, just do things that other people did, but those things end up not really feeding me or making me see my why towards going into medicine. Definitely a struggle, but over time, when I realized what I wanted for myself, it got better, a whole lot better.
Listen, we're so proud of this journey you're on. The fact that you are writing about Girls for Medicine, the fact that you're becoming one yourself, I think is just so amazing. Now, listen, guys, your girls M&M are hanging out with Girls for Medicine author Orezime Uyeh. Now, we want to shout out all the people of the green, white, and green flag, the people of Nigeria. Listen, we have some very faithful listeners out there. Now, Rezi, talk about how your rich Nigerian culture shaped and affected your goals.
It definitely helped when it came to education because there's always this strive for excellence. And the best part is I was raised to not only strive to be excellent in my education, but strive to be excellent in everything that I try to pursue. And, as Nigerians, it just brings me so much joy that I remember watching this newscaster talking about, like, the statistics that, Nigerians are the group that acquires, the most professional degrees, or in medicine in particular. And that just brought me so much joy because it just reaffirmed to me that this culture that incorporates education in such a high degree, is really affecting the world, affecting the nation, and I have the privilege to join that group. And, I just appreciate my culture for always making me appreciate my education while being the very best person that I can be and not not dealing with any wahala, but in my life. So, I'm so grateful for this culture and for the food. Oh my God.
Oh, of course. We cannot forget that.
We can attest to that after Meesa's dinner she was talking about she made us.
Listen, the food just reminds me that I'm alive. Like, I'm grateful for it all. I'm so grateful.
And I love that you said that. I love that you even said that. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on this week's show. But before you go, Rezi, give everyone your socials so that they can follow you.
Hi, everybody. You guys can follow me on my Instagram page, @GirlsForMedicine. I also have a Facebook page for @GirlsForMedicine. Everything's very simple, @GirlsForMedicine. And I have a website, girlsformedicine.com.
Listen, guys, make sure you guys follow Rezi on all social media and go check out her book at girlsformedicine.com. And also, Rezi, it's March Motivation here on M&M Live Radio, where we're giving our listeners an extra dose of motivation all month long. Do you have any encouraging words to give our listeners?
Be yourself. There is no one like you out there in the world, and you are loved, and you are favored, and you got whatever it is in your life. You got it.
You heard it from the doctor herself. You heard it from the doctor herself. Rezi has spoken. But Rezi, seriously, we're so excited about everything you're doing in your career and the lives you're impacting with this very book. Your girls here at M&M Live Radio are definitely rooting for you and cheering you on. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Now, listen, our listeners, go check out Rezi's book, and we're going to play some music for you right now. We'll be right back. You're listening to You Already Know.
It's M&M Live Radio.